How do you change things in your neighborhood? Leviticus 19:17. We got to start correcting each other according to God's laws. We got to start putting a structure together in order for us to govern ourselves. Hey, bro, let me ask you a question real quick. How do we change things in the black community? How do us as black men change things in the black community? Because that's where it starts at. It starts with the black men in the community. How do we change things? Say it again. Okay, so what are some ways that we have not tried to change things in our community? Because we've tried voting, we've tried marching, we've tried politics, we've tried all these things to change things. Has anything changed in our community? Nope. Okay, so let's show you how we change things in our community. Give me Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 3. Bring it up. It's time. We got to change things in our community by applying God's law, statutes, and commandments. That's how we change things. Is that what I want? Yep, read that.
The book of Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 3.
Listen to this, bro, as you walk away. Listen to this verse. Read.
Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee.
So he said he will keep us in perfect peace. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, if you want peace in your neighborhoods, you have to apply God's laws. That's the only way you will have peace in our neighborhoods. That's the only way we will stop the black-on-black crime. That's the only way we will stop the high abortion rates. That is the only way we will stop selling drugs to each other, is if we apply God's laws. That's when we will have peace. Read it again.
Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 3. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusted in thee.
If you trust in God, that means you will do the ways that he set up for us to condone ourselves in our neighborhoods. He gave us laws, statutes, and commandments in order for us to live and condone ourselves in our neighborhoods. But what do? We reject God's laws and do everything else besides God's laws. Go back, give me that Leviticus 19:17.
The book of Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him.
That's the problem in the black community. As soon as we have a problem with one of our brothers, what do? We want to go get the guns. We want to start fighting. We want to do everything but try to fix that problem like the way God told us to. God taught us to talk our problems out and work it out. He didn't tell us to go shoot each other. He didn't tell us to go cause harm to our brother's household. Now you got to think about that in the black neighborhood. We keep having black-on-black crime at a high rate because you shoot one of theirs, then they come back and shoot one of yours. And the cycle is never broken. That's why we have so much high rates of killing each other in our neighborhoods, because we don't want to break that cycle. We rather continue to kill each other and hurt each other than to break that cycle and work things out like men. Men know how to talk problems out and work things out. Little boys are the ones that go get guns and shoot each other. Little boys are the ones that go and depend on drugs to get them out of the state of captivity that they're in. Little boys are the ones that go sleeping from woman to woman instead of getting one wife and marrying her and taking care of your household. Read.
Verse 18. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
He said you should not bear grudge against the children of your people. He said you should not be hating your brother to where you bear a grudge against them, because then that puts a strain on the whole neighborhood. Because what happens, one person over here knows you got beef with this person, so now they're going to start causing problems so y'all can shoot each other, they can take over the block. It's all these things that happens in our neighborhoods that we don't want to fix. We don't want to address. Why? Because these are curses that God put upon us. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 28. It's time for us to realize all these things are happening because we are out of order. Our mindset is totally out of whack. We do things that are contrary to God's words, but then we turn around and say we love God. Read.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 28. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart.
How we are spent with madness because we don't realize the only way for the black community to succeed, only way for us to get back on top is to have brotherly love one for another. So because we don't have brotherly love with each other, we are smitten with madness to not even realize that we are the Israelites according to the Bible. We go to every other doctrine in this world except the Bible, what God gave to us. Watch this. Give me Baruch chapter 4 and verse 4. Let me show you how precious you are in God's sight. Because we are not operating like that. We are not hearing this on a regular basis that God calls us special to himself. Read.
Baruch chapter 4 and verse 4. O Israel, Happy are we, for things that are pleasing to God are made known unto us.
So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American, this Bible is for you. Right. These are the things that are pleasing to God, and he only gave it to us. But what do? We trodden it underfoot. We say the Bible is a white man's book. We say that we don't believe in God because look at the conditions that we're in. That's why you should believe in God, because he put these conditions on us. He chastises us for not keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments. By not doing something as simple as men taking care of your family. Men, raise up your kids in the way that God told you to raise them. Let's get Psalms chapter 78 and verse 5. He gave you laws, statutes, and commandments. If we apply God's laws, statutes, and commandments, the black community will be above everybody on this face of the earth. Why? Because that's the power he gave us. But we reject our power by calling ourselves African American, by calling ourselves real niggas. All these things are contrary to God's words. They are proverbs that we are happy with. Read.
The book of Psalms, chapter 78 and verse 5. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers that they should make them known to their children.
You should make these things known to your children, not how to flip a pack. You should not be making that stuff known to your children. Your little girl should not be knowing how to twerk at 3 years old. Your little boy should not be worrying about Jordans at 4 and 5 years old. He should be getting taught the law, statutes, and commandments of God. These are the things that our children should be hearing. And because we don't teach our kids in the ways of God, now we are perpetuating the cycle that is going on in the black community far too long. Now our kids are raising up hating another man because of what he got, or because of how he looks. Now our kids are getting raised up to learn how to sell drugs, learn how to dribble a basketball instead of knowing how to be a prophet of the Most High God. Instead of knowing that we are Israelites according to the Bible. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you are special in God's sight. But the only way for him to defend you is to do what he told you to do. John 14 and 15. God, you cannot show God you love him if you are not doing the things that he told you to do. Just like your kids cannot show you that they love you if they're not following your rules. They're not following your guidelines in your house. It's the same way with us. Read.
The book of John, chapter 14 and verse 15. If you love me, keep my commandment.
God said if you love him, keep his commandments. Not give lip service. Not go say, I love the Lord, he heard my cry. He's not hearing nothing if you're not keeping his commandments. This is the way you show God you love him. It's not by giving some fair speech, by going to church on Sunday mornings, giving your tithes. That's not how you show God you love him. Just read that one more time.
John chapter 14 and verse 15. If you love me, keep my commandments.
If you love God, keep his commandments. Sisters, if you love God, stop wearing pants and put on a dress. Dress in modest apparel. Why? Because that's showing you love God and it's showing you love yourself. You got to think about this. That's a saying in the world. You dress for the job you want. Sisters, if you want to be a wife, if you want a man to take you seriously, you got to dress like that. Our foremothers was in the fields picking cotton in modest apparel. And they didn't complain about that. Why? Because they knew that's what God wanted them to do. But a woman today, they say, oh, I can do whatever I want. I can wear whatever clothes I want. Then you wonder why men only want you for sex. You wonder why men are only looking at you for certain things. Why? Because you are not dressing the way that God told you to dress. All right, let's get, hey, brother across the street, you are Israelite according to the Bible, all right? Let's get Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 5. Well, I'm going to show you the law that we're talking about. Because I'm not just going to say it. We're going to read everything out of God's words. Read.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment.
Just like you would not take a man seriously that's wearing a skirt or a dress, God is not taking a woman seriously that's wearing the pants. Why? Because you are doing things that are contrary to his word. Now, because you are dressing immodestly, showing off of your whole figure that's supposed to be for your husband, we wonder why we got higher rates of STDs. You wonder why we got higher rates of single-parent households. You wonder why we got higher rates of abortion, because we are not keeping God's laws. When you do things contrary to God's laws, you get curses. Let's get 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 9. You women, you are special. You have a big role to play in this nation. But you can't do that if you're out of order. It's same with the man. Man, you are supposed to be leading the nation of Israel. But you cannot do that if you are out of order.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.